after all, don't put the blame on me.
Full disclosure, I did not finish the game. I did not get remotely close to the end of the game, which is why I'm going to call it a first impressions and not a review. It'll have review in the thumbnail because I'm OCD like that, and first impressions doesn't fit in the space, which is why it's still over a month late. You know, I'd like to remind you that I do this for free, so I better see nothing but love and the hearts in the comment section. And if there is a single dislike on this video, I'll probably be sad about it for a few seconds, do nothing, and then move on with my life. You have been warned. Mass Effect Andromeda runs in 1080p 30 FPS on PS4. It is a very pretty game. The textures are very good. The environments are gorgeous. There's a blue light effect when your flashlight on your chest that comes out of your boobs, or my boobs because I play a girl character because I'm like that, you know. I think the Tempest is a gorgeous ship, and I like walking around and talking to all my crew members. I really like the armor designs and the alien races of the Mass Effect series. We'll talk about the character models in a minute. The game looks pretty good, especially these planets. These planet locations are gorgeous, especially on the snowy one. You have like frost all over your armor, and on the planet Havarl you have vibrant blues and teals and purples and greens. It looks like World of Warcraft. The game did crash for me, and I had a loading screen that lasted like 20 minutes, and then the game finally started. I had a lot of weird mission bugs too, so I think the game was probably rushed. There's a lot of poppin'.
Look at that sky.
How? No atmosphere processor works that fast.
Magic rocks would appear and disappear based on whether or not you scanned them. Enemies would spawn inside walls. Some of these aliens are really rude too. They'll just start talking over each other.
They've lived on Fold for millennia.
The ice drills in Hijara.
Stories about the Yavara
It's right
are
over
the
Yavara
only
Ridge.
Angaran folktales that survived the Scourge.
The cutscenes too. The cutscenes look bad. Like graphics wise, and when you're in the game, it looks good, but any cutscenes CGI that they did is horrible. But the colors and the lights and the animations when you're in the game are pretty good. Well, animations again. Just a moment. I have an order I like to go through, please. Thank you. No questions until the end. So the movement in Mass Effect Andromeda is bad. It's horrible. It's awful. So it does what Fallout 4 does, where like if your gun is holstered, your movement is really shitty and clunky and bad. But if you take your gun out, you know, it becomes a third-person shooter, the camera zooms in, and now it's super responsive and precise. So at least the shooting doesn't have that shitty kind of movement. So it doesn't affect you in combat, but when you're trying to open containers and like talk to people and do shit and maneuver stuff, it's a huge pain in the ass. And staying in combat gun stuff the whole time is also annoying because that's not meant for traversing the world. That's meant for cover bobbing and weaving and shooting people. Oh, cover. By the way, Mass Effect Andromeda does not have a cover button. So some people like that, I guess, because they're stupid. You know, Ghost Recon Wildlands didn't have a cover button either. I don't know why, but it didn't matter all that much in this game. But in Mass Effect Andromeda, where you're always fighting so close together and people are constantly moving and trying to flank you, the auto cover thing simply does not work. Half the time, it won't know that you're behind cover and you'll be standing there and it's like, duck, damn it! So you get shot all the time because the game doesn't recognize that you're in cover. And you also can't like sneak around the side of cover to just poke your gun out. If you do that, you just move out of cover. So by not being locked to cover, you can't just aim your gun out. Which really pisses me off because Mass Effect did have a button cover system and they threw it away. The jump jets too. Conceptually, the jump jets are a great idea. They do add a lot of movement and maneuverability to it. They're like a Dark Souls quick roll dodge shot, so you can jump and then dash to close big distances, and also when you're moving around through and behind cover, you can zoom up on people and melee them. If you're in the air and you push melee, you'll do like a ground pound slam attack. I would say they are a little difficult to aim. Sometimes I want to go like at a 45-degree angle and it'll just go hard right, so, but other than that, I think the jump jets are a nice addition. The guns are super inaccurate, so it's a third-person shooter, so you have a reticle, and then you'll start shooting, the screen will be bouncing around, and the reticle will expand. So you lose accuracy so friggin' quickly. Yes, I know you can upgrade the accuracy of a gun, but an assault rifle stops being good after one shot more than 5 feet away is a little ridiculous. And the fact that you can fix a problem later in the game through an upgrade skill tree doesn't excuse the fact that we have a shitty problem at the start of the game that we have to deal with now. I am so sick of hearing this bullshit, it gets fixed later in the game so you can't complain about it. That is such horrible, broken, shitty logic. So how long do I have to play the game until it gets good, huh? The hit detection is also kinda shitty. Due to the fact that the guns are so inaccurate and you have to empty entire clips to kill people, I was constantly running out of ammo. Also, both open the containers and melee are both mapped to triangles. It's the same button, which is stupid because if the game prompt doesn't pick up the container, you're gonna teleport around and start stabbing your Omni tool blade around. Opening containers is also a huge pain in the ass because once you do that, there's a pause while the game loads up what's in the container. It says, hey, here's what's in the container. The game, you know, is stopped right now. You're in a menu. It's like, hey, do you want to pick individually what do you want to take, or do you want to take everything? You just take everything. There's no reason to not take everything, which is just a few seconds, but it happens so often, it constantly breaks the rhythm of the game, and it's a huge pain in the ass, and somebody tell me why we couldn't just pass over it, walk over it without pushing a button, and tell me in the bottom corner of the game what I got. I'd say the biggest saving grace to the combat is the psi powers, the bionics, the tech upgrades. Those are so cool. You can use the force to flip people in the air. You can create time warping vortexes. You can go invisible. You can teleport around. You can throw grenades. You can create a force field that you can take cover behind. You can shoot lightning and shit out of your hands. It's awesome. You're also constantly grunting whenever you're vaulting over cover or landing or jump jetting or teleporting around. It's so annoying. The game starts sounding like a porno.
Lady, shut up!
You know, the Nomad, you know, the little tank thing that you drive around, has also got some really weird issues. So it'll constantly prompt me whenever I'm driving past a, like a forward outpost station. It'll say, you can't deploy the Nomad here. You're already in the Nomad. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm already in the Nomad. So why would I want to deploy the Nomad when I'm already in the Nomad? And it's a lot of weird lack of polish, things like that. So there was a part where I was driving the Nomad up a hill, and I couldn't get up the damn hill. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. It kept falling back down the hill. And then I left, rage quitted, turned the game off, came back to it. And then when I go up, it's like, oh, hey, turn on the traction control. Hit L1 so you can go up the hill. And I'm like, where the hell was that an hour ago? It was clearly like a scheduled story mission prompt that just failed to activate. So you know you have the Tempest, which is your ship that you're flying around space, and then you landed on a planet. There's no way to go back inside the Tempest, like just to like get something and then leave, go back on the planet without actually taking off. So whenever you enter the Tempest, you get a cutscene, an unskippable loading screen cutscene of the Tempest then going back into orbit. So if you just wanted to like change something in your loadout or buy something, you have to sit through 2 loading screens to do it. Like if you wanted to craft an armor set or something because you just got the material. Speaking of crafting, this game, Mass Effect Andromeda implements its crafting in the most confusing, stupid, convoluted, unnecessarily drawn out, and difficult to understand system I think I've ever seen. So what you gotta do is first you gotta research something. You gotta go in the research menu and create a blueprint for a gun or an armor piece or a Nomad upgrade or something. I mean, mostly armor piece because you want to upgrade your armor because you want to look cool. So doing that requires a bunch of different materials and research data, which is like a set number that you get more of. So you need a lot of stuff just to create the blueprint for the piece of armor, and then you have to back out, go in a different menu, and then craft the piece of armor, which uses a bunch more different ingredients. You essentially have to make something twice before you can even use it. And it's not just a currency system like, hey, I want to buy a piece of armor for 20,000 credits or whatever. You gotta get like 5 different minerals and weird made-up science fiction crafting resources. It's a huge pain in the ass. And it takes forever to get anything cool. And if you're missing something, there's a galactic trade network terminal, like from No Man's Sky, right next to you on a laptop that you can buy stuff. So you have to back out of that, move over a little bit, and then re-go in that menu, just so it can tell you, hey, we're sold out of this thing that you need. The crafting is awful. If you want more on that, watch Total Biscuit's video. He spent like over a half hour on it, and he did an amazing job. So I'm gonna link that below. The galaxy map too is such a pain in the ass. So if you want to move to a different planet, you gotta go in the galaxy map. So you're at the solar system, you gotta select a new planet, or back out to the galaxy, select a new solar system, and then you get a cutscene. It'll zoom into wherever you are, and then it'll turn. And then it'll go through space with fancy space effects to wherever it was. And it takes over 10 seconds. And then you get there, and then you find nothing, and you gotta go somewhere else and do it again. So it takes minutes upon minutes for the most unrewarding, boring, and tedious exploration system I've ever seen. But you'll go to a solar system, there'll be all these exclamation points on all these planets. You pick one, you go to it, sit through that cutscene to find nothing there, and then you leave and go back again. And if you do find something, then you send out a probe, and then you zoom in again, press X, and be like, hey, you found element 0 or whatever. You can't land on any of these planets, you can't drive the ship yourself. I mean, you are the captain, not the pilot engineer, so you know, the ensign. So that's one thing, if I may commit a grievous gaming sin and praise No Man's Sky, give that game credit in how seamless it was to you getting in a ship, lifting off, and going somewhere else. But in Mass Effect Andromeda, it's very artificial, it's very cutscene heavy, it's very loading screen spliced. So the basic plot, the basic premise of Mass Effect Andromeda, I actually really like. So it's pure exploration, it's human curiosity. It's like, hey, we're gonna take a bunch of people, stuff them in these ships, and push them away to the Andromeda galaxy, and we're gonna start a colony there, we're gonna set up a civilization. I like how it's not just, there are bad aliens invading Earth and we gotta fight them off again. I really like the focus on exploration, venturing off into the unknown, and it does eventually devolve into we have bad aliens to fight, but the basic plot and idea behind the game I thought was really good. I also think you ascend to captain way too damn fast. Like right in the prologue of the game, your dad dies, and despite the fact that his next in line is more qualified, has trained for this her whole life, he just gives it to you because you're his daughter. What a prick. Mass Effect has the most casual military in the world. You don't have to work for something. You can just be the captain's daughter and get whatever you want. I would have liked to spend maybe the first third or first quarter of the game following a captain around and like being his first officer and like discussing decisions with them. Like you're basically Riker on Star Trek. And then the captain could do something you don't like and you could choose be like, yes sir, or choose like, sir, I think this alternate option is better, or you could storm off in your room like a little child. RPG options, choices. Something cool about the story was the Angar first contact. Like our ship just comes in hot on a planet, like we gotta land somewhere because this asshole was shooting at us, and we just land there and there's just a bunch of aliens there with guns on us, like, who are you? What do you want? What are you doing here? And they don't speak English, so we're just like, oh, so that legitimately felt like a good first contact scenario, so I thought that was pretty well done. Alright, but the most unfortunate thing about Mass Effect Andromeda is that it is a horrendous RPG. What is with dialogue circles getting worse and worse and worse and worse as time progresses? First you got Fallout 4's shitty two-word sarcastic response, which just amounts to accept quest or don't accept quest. And now you got Mass Effect Andromeda that gives you two choices 95% of the time that don't make a difference, and the points in conversation where it chooses to give you choices are so randomly chosen, they don't affect the flow. This branching narrative thing is bullshit. Freaking Telltale games give you more options than this, and half the time your dialogue choice doesn't actually affect anything, it's just how you want to react to somebody else doing something. It's like, I can be, oh hey, yeah, it's cool, or like, I don't know about that, but whatever, let's go with it, and boom, nothing changes, the game moves on.
Scouting stars. What? Who are you? How did...
Thanks isn't necessary. Just doing my job.
More aliens appearing out of nowhere. What's going on?
Dude, he didn't acknowledge what I said at all. He just kept going.
And half the time when there is a choice, it's like, oh, you gotta be careful. Do you want to make this a military outpost or do you want to make it a science outpost? Because which one you choose will have a very important impact on the game. You get like 2 lines spliced in later where it's like, oh, you made a military outpost. I think that was the right decision. And then another guy would be like, oh, but now they're just gonna think we're evil. Should have made it a science outpost. In which case, you can clearly tell if I had chosen the other thing, their roles would just be switched. And they'd be, one guy would be condemning me and one guy would be praising me, and we'd move on and nothing would change.
Though I worry about your decision on Eos, Ryder. A military outpost won't help feed the Nexus, not the way scientists might have.
But it will protect us from a growing list of threats.
And we could argue about it all day long, as we always do. The decision was made. Now we move on.
These choices feel so artificial, and that completely ruins the effect of an RPG. I mean, not that every game needs to, but then don't call it an RPG, because that's not what it is. You have a preset character and a preset story, and you pick a few lines, you know, fine, whatever. Just don't let people think, and don't advertise it as anything other than that. And the character models are so horrible. They're terrible. How did this get past any stage of development? The frickin' models in Mass Effect 1 on Xbox 360 looked better. The facial animations are so glitchy and broken, it's hilarious. And it's not just the animations, it's just the faces themselves. It's like, what in God's name is that? You know, the voice acting and the dialogue writing is actually pretty good. It's just the fact that it's coming from these unspeakable abominations that they call people. Apparently BioWare's never seen a woman before too, because everybody's boobs are like halfway down their chests. And all the girls, of course, have to be some feminist, transgender, transvestite, you know, progressive left liberal bullshit. Romancing really didn't go anywhere. I mean, I've been in cryosleep for 643 years, so my character is, her hormones have kind of built up over that time, so she's just flirting with everybody she possibly can.
I'm really glad you volunteered to join our crew, by the way. I am too. New galaxy and all. I'm honored to be here. No, I mean, I think you're cute and I like seeing you up here.
Oh my goodness, writer!
Also, the accent. The accent is, I mean, it's not the only thing, but, okay, I should just go over there to the piloting thing.
Kill me now.
Writer, thank you. And so, you know, the feeling's mutual. Yes!
It was really funny though. That's the biggest thing I could say about this game, is that it's freaking hilarious. It's like a damn sitcom. Like really, it really conflicts with the tone of the story. It's like, oh, you know, we're on our last legs and we're really running out of resources and we're really struggling to get this colony set up and started. Whereas writers just cracking jokes left and right. And it's like a damn sitcom with laugh tracks. That is one part of the game that I think did really succeed on us. But despite the fact that, you know, the character models are so shitty, I really did like all of my team members. The Krogan in particular is amazing.
Let's talk about our success on EOS. Besides establishing our first viable outpost, we did some amazing things. We discovered the Remnant and breached their vault.
And didn't get killed.
Overcame radiation poisoning a number of times.
And didn't die.
Confronted by Ket at every turn.
Once again, did not get killed.
You guys really need to raise the bar on what you call success.
Did the translators not work?
They work.
Come on, everyone. Can we just all please try to just listen up?
Begging. Interesting strategy.
I really liked between missions going and talking to everybody and seeing how they feel and picking up new crew members. Like I said, really casual military. Hey, you want to come with? You random person on this planet? Come on, we'll give you access to all of our weapons and stuff. It'll be great. I'm surprised anybody shows up for work or gets dressed in the morning. We have no supervision, we have no rules, we have no code of conduct, no nothing. The only character I really didn't like was Sam, the artificial intelligence. He's got no personality whatsoever. That was a really wasted opportunity to have this artificial intelligence. You could have had like a Cortana sidekick who's already in your head, but he's super bland and he's a plot device. He's not somebody fun to talk to. Really, at the end of the day, there's some positives in Mass Effect Andromeda. I had some fun for sure. I think there's way more negatives than positives, as usual. But really, to be honest, I don't think it's the worst game ever made. I don't think it's the one that deserves to be getting all this hate, because if you know me, this is my opinion on practically every game that comes out. So this isn't unusual for me at all. But really, at the end of the day, I just stopped playing because I was bored. I wanted to go back to Dark Souls 3 and Rainbow Six Siege, and really, those are the only two things I'm playing right now. So there's my thoughts, review, impression on Mass Effect Andromeda. What did you think about Mass Effect Andromeda? How would you rate it in this series? Let me know in the comments below. Or don't, because there is a time to speak and there is a time for silence.